I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, joining us is a wonderful author. Her name is Vivien Carmichael, and she has written a terrific book. It's called The Anstruther Lass. It is a captivating historical romance set against the backdrop of the Dundee Jute Mills in 1865. Take a ride with us as we take a deep dive into a tale of love, intrigue, and survival as we explore the life of Lana, a young widow caught in a web of passion and peril. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Vivien, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Yeah, lovely to see you too.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Loved your book, The Anstruther Lass. Let's tell the folks at home what it's about. Let's give them the big picture.
Well, there's two themes to the story, murder and romance. It starts off with a murder because the manager of the jute mill had affairs with the um, mill girls, and he's just finished with one because she got too demanding, and she's still in love with him and is jealous when she sees his interest in another girl, and she murders her. There's also someone going round in Dundee, they call the Dundee Slasher, who's killing sailors, slashing their throats. And Lana, who's a widow, decides to go and work at the jute mills. She doesn't realise what danger she's going into. But before she leaves, she meets a guy from the Netherlands who's bringing the jute in because they use the Dutch East India Company to bring the jute from India, and they used Dundee because they had the whaling industry there, and they used the whaling oil to soften the jute. She falls in love with this Stefan, and he meets her in Dundee. But when they have a romance and they plan to get married, and when Campbell also falls for Lana and he realises he's got a rival, he arranges for some smugglers to kill Stefan, but they're thwarted by the Dundee Slasher, and they decide to save him, and they don't kill him. They sell him to the British Navy. So Stefan is sent on a British frigate to New Zealand, and Lana, who is pregnant, is left heartbroken. She doesn't know what's happened to Stefan.
It's an amazing story, that's for sure. What made you decide to set it in Dundee back in 1865?
Well, my uncle took me and my sons round to all the fishing villages on the Firth of Forth and showed the Anstruther and said, if you look at all the houses, they all look Dutch. And that's because of the influence of the Dutch and the jute industry. And so I did some research and found out about the jute industry. And in fact, Dundee had about 500 jute mills, and the population exploded. The people came from all over Scotland and Ireland to work in the jute mills.
Yeah, it's an amazing time in history, that's for sure, during the Industrial Revolution. Of course, adding to your story is the love triangle that takes place. And tell us a little bit about your inspiration for developing this relationship.
Um, well, it just carried on. As I started to write it, their characters grew. I mean, Stefan um, is the son of a rich jute trader, and he's always been used to having servants and cooks. And when he's on the frigate, life is very different for a lowly sailor. He has to learn to cook, and his character develops.
Yeah.
Lana also develops a bit because she's got over her husband dying, and then her new love of her life disappears, and she has to cope with that, and she develops her character.
Yeah. Lana has a lot of challenges that she faces. Are you hoping that readers learn
Oh
something
yes,
from her journey?
she's pregnant, and so with the way that um, life was in 1864, um, they have to protect the acceptance of the baby into society. So they, her sister, who's also having a baby, pretends that she's having twins, and when the babies are born, she takes them back to her house, and everyone thinks that they're hers. So the baby is accepted.
Yes, it's amazing. It's an amazing story that you've written as well. Tell us what it was like.
Also, the when Stefan goes to New Zealand, which historically he's on HMS Brisk, and I did all the research about where it went, found that they went to New Zealand. So he meets the Maoris, and that's interesting because I did a lot of research about Maoris, and they have tattoos called tamoko, and they interesting about that, and their way of life. And in fact, they're the only indigenous people in the world who've been well treated. They eventually, New Zealand did the Waitangi Treaty, and they've been repaid for all the land that was given to settlers.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's an interesting aspect of the story, that's for sure. Tell us what it was like for you writing this book. Did you enjoy living in that world while you were creating it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I had to do a lot of research, even research about the police, because the police was very different in those days. And there's a twist when they discover who the Dundee slasher really is. There's a twist. It's
Yeah.
quite surprising who it turns out to be.
Exactly, exactly. Have you envisioned this perhaps as a series on the BBC or a movie or something?
I think it would make a good Netflix series,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because also the life on the HMS Brisk, the journey, it takes 3 months to go across the Atlantic to Buenos Aires and then over to South Africa. And they go through the roaring 40s and the doldrums. And there's a bit about crossing the equator, what happens on board when they cross the equator, the ceremony. That's quite good fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the characters are great, the settings are great, the story is great, the plot twists are terrific as well. And in fact, I think we need to get David Tennant to play the Dundee slasher. How does that sound?
Who?
A British, Scottish actor, David Tennant. I'm just kind of kidding around. He plays in a lot of the
Yeah.
BBC shows. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But I think he'd be
Did
great
you
for the
play
role.
Stefan,
Yep.
the
Absolutely.
hero?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And Lana, have you thought about who would play Lana?
Well, I thought about Angelina Jolie.
That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. She'd be perfect for the part. She brings a lot
She
of
would because she's very beautiful, and Lana, the character, is very beautiful as well.
absolutely. Well, this is a great story that you've written, Vivien. It is called The Anstruther Lass. It is a captivating historical romance set against the backdrop of the Dundee Jute Mills in 1865. It is a tale of love, intrigue, and survival. Readers will explore the life of Lana. She's a young widow caught in a web of passion and peril. And this is a book you won't want to put down. And once you're finished, you're going to wish there was more. Are you thinking about a sequel, or are you working on anything else right now, Vivien?
I could write a sequel because uh, Stefan actually makes a friend on HMS Brisk called Ben, and he stays in New Zealand, and maybe they could all go back to pay a visit to New Zealand to visit them and see how he got on.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us all about your wonderful book.
Thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.